How do people react when you tell them that you're a writer? What did your friends and family say the first time that you told them you were writing a book? Did you tell them right away or did you wait? Hey, I'm Yesenia from WriterMom.net. Thanks for joining me today. And WriterMom.net is a place for writers who want to create a fulfilling, happy, and healthy life while building a successful author business. So if that's you, thanks for being here. I really appreciate it. And so today I want to talk about this topic of telling people you're a writer. And so maybe for some of you this wasn't a big deal at all, but for me it was, and maybe for some of you it was too. And so I'd love to hear your story in the comments about how your family and friends reacted when you told them that you're an author, or that you want to be an author, that you're writing your first book. So yeah, please share your story in the comments. I'd love to hear it, and if you know somebody who might be able to relate, make sure you tag them as well. So let me just start with my story. So I spent years basically saying that I wanted to be a writer, or telling myself that I wanted to be a writer anyway, because I didn't really tell anybody else. And so I just spent years literally researching how to write a book, how to create a world, how to do this, how to publish a book, even how to submit to agents and publishers and stuff like that. And I never did any of it. I never followed any of the advice that I read about. And so that was basically some of my years in high school and college. By the time I got to college, I kind of set it aside a bit, and it just didn't seem as important to me. I kind of forgot about it. I was focused on other things. And then finally in 2011, I signed up for NaNoWriMo, and I was 7 months pregnant at the time. I was in college, I was student teaching, and I decided that it was now or never with this writing thing, and I just had to do it. If I was gonna, have this in me that I wanted to write my first book, then I just finally had to do something about it, or, I was gonna have a kid, I was gonna just have to set it aside and focus on all these other priorities that were going on in my life. And so I decided that this was it. I was going to take writing seriously, and I was finally actually going to write a book. And so that was 2011, NaNoWriMo. I was student teaching, pregnant, and in college, and I managed to reach the 50K finish line. And it wasn't easy, but I got it done, and I wrote the end on my first book. And this is when I finally started taking writing seriously. I was finding out about self-publishing and how to self-publish my own book, and I thought that was really exciting. And so yeah, again, we're talking 2011 was when I first started writing for real. And so now we're in 2017. So again, 6 years it's been since I've been able to kind of get over this fear of telling people that I'm a writer, that I'm an author, that I own my own business, I work from home. And so after 2011, I set this first novel aside because honestly it was complete garbage. So I put it away and I never really looked at it again. And then I got to work on my first real book, which was a YA romance. And so I kind of went back to what I knew and what I had experienced, and I kind of put my heart and soul into this first book. And it took me a couple of years, but I finally hit publish on it New Year's Eve 2013. After a really long writing and editing and revising process, I finally just had to hit publish, and so I did. I couldn't let 2013 end without me being published, and so I did that. And then I hit publish again in fall 2014, about 9 months later, on book 2, and then again with book 3 in summer 2015 when I relaunched the whole series. And then, I just kept going at about that pace, about 2 books a year, until now we're in 2017, and I have book 8 on pre-order, and that's wrapping up 2 complete YA romance series. And I've just now, after 8 books written, 7 published, I've just now been able to out myself as a writer to all of my in real life friends and family. And so, yeah, just saying that right now is kind of crazy to me that, it's been 6 years and almost 8 books, and I'm just now comfortable saying that out loud. And so, what's funny about that is that, like, some of my family did know. Mostly, I think it started with my older sister, because I think I had some like online social media profiles, and then she would, like, how it suggests people to follow. I think I came up in one of her suggestions, and she started following me on these other social media profiles that I was using as an author, and then she kind of found out. And I think when I was writing that very first book, I think it was Thanksgiving, and I was pregnant, by myself at the table typing out this story, and she was asking me what I was doing, and I just didn't even like have the mental focus to try to like come up with some kind of excuse as to what I was doing. Everybody else is hanging out and having fun, and I'm over here working on the computer. And I told her, like, I'm writing my first book, I'm working on a book. And then, she got all curious about it. She found out about me online. She never stopped asking me about it. Like, to this day, she keeps waiting for me to give her some of my books, and I keep like not doing that. And again, that like comes back to that fear of like outing myself as a writer and telling people I'm a writer. But yeah, that's like a few of my family members did find out, because she would kind of tell them. And then I did tell my best friend that I was writing a book, and she wasn't surprised, because I'm like a total book nerd, and like, but she just thought that was the coolest thing. And then what was funny about that is that, like, she went and told like her entire family, like literally her entire family, like extended family, that I'm a writer and I've published books and blah blah blah. And so that was funny for a while, because like probably more of her family knows that I'm an author than like my own family does. So yeah, why was it so hard for me to tell people that I'm a writer, to say that out loud? I'm a writer, yes, I write books, I publish books. Like just now, like I'm starting to feel okay with saying that, and like letting people know that part of me. And like even now it can still be a little bit like challenging for me to say. Like I still won't talk about it like too much with friends and family, even my husband. Like I'll tell him like marketing stuff, or like, oh, like I finished the book today, that kind of thing. But even then, like I still don't talk about it like a ton, just because it's still hard, and like it feels like this private part of my identity, I guess because it was private for so long, because of that fear. And it really was like this fear of failure, I think, and just like it felt like putting myself out there and letting myself be vulnerable to other people. I think that's really like the big why as to, why I couldn't tell people. And people have asked me about it, especially since I stopped teaching last year. A lot of people were asking me over the summer and around when school was starting if I was going to go back to teaching, and I said no. And during the summer, I would just tell people, oh, I think I'm just gonna stay home for another year, so we'll see. I don't know if I'm gonna go back yet. And that's all I would say. But the reality was that, like, no, I wasn't gonna go back to teaching. Like, I just love being a writer so much. Like, this is what I want to do. And so, like, going back to teaching isn't in the cards for me right now. And I just love running my own business too much. But I couldn't bring myself to say that out loud. And it was just like this automatic thing too. Like I just couldn't even say it. And so I would just automatically say like, oh, I'm just staying home with a baby for now, blah, blah, blah. And they would assume like I wasn't even working. And really I was like working my butt off, let me tell you. And so, yeah, it just felt really, really scary to tell people that like I wrote these books, because it felt like I put my heart and soul into them, and they were really personal. Especially like my first couple of books felt really personal, and I didn't know that I wanted like people to get this inside look into me and like who I was. And like I mean, you can probably relate to this, but like as an author, especially with your first book or two, like you pour so much of yourself into it, so it just feels, it felt for me like really hard for someone that I know that sees me in a different light, maybe to read these books and know that I wrote them, and that, you know, maybe get more of an inside look at who I am. So yeah. So definitely let me know if you can relate in the comments. I would love to know, you know, if you've gone through anything similar. Has it been hard for you to tell people that you're a writer, or for people to read your work? I don't really show anybody what I'm working on while it's still in draft mode. But I would love to know if it's been hard for you to even just tell people that you're a writer or that you like to write books. So definitely comment. But yeah, so this was, still through summer of 2017. Like, I still wasn't really telling people that I was a writer. But now, about a month ago, with the encouragement of my awesome accountability group, shout out to them because they're awesome, I finally outed myself officially on Facebook, and I updated my, where I work. And so I posted on there that I work at writermom.net as a blogger, and at my page, Yesenia Vargas, YA fiction author. And then so now people knew, and a few people liked it, and so I know they saw it. And so now people knew that officially, you know, I am a writer, I'm an author, and that's what I do. And so that just felt really liberating and awesome. And then beyond that, since then, about a couple of weeks ago, I've been able to talk about it more in person now. And I can't tell you how awesome that feels. Like I said, it's just liberating to have people know this other part of me. It's such a big part of me. So it also felt weird for a long time, especially more recently, for people not to know that I'm a writer. I guess I started to feel ready for people to know that I'm a writer, that I'm an author, that I run my own business. And so it was a little bit weird. It almost felt like I was hiding it, but now I was just ready to just tell people and show them who I really am, you know? Like they know me as this certain person, but there's this also this other huge part of me that is really important and that they should know about. And so a couple of weeks ago, I was at a girls' night dinner thing with some of my friends, and this lady that I had gotten to know recently, she told me, so I asked her, you know, so what do you do? I was just trying to start a conversation, and she says, oh, I work for myself. I am an online health coach, I think she said, and I was just kind of oh, somebody who's knows the online world like me, they know about social media and having your own website and running your own online business. And so that, I don't know, that just kind of clicked for me. And I just, it felt I don't know, it just felt easy all of a sudden to be able to talk to her about it. And so I just did it. I just said, I wasn't even planning on saying it. I just did, because she was someone kind of like me who was doing something similar, working for yourself online. And so I just said it. Oh, I work for myself too. I write books and I self-publish books, and I also even edit books. And then other people heard us talking, and they started asking questions, and it was just the most incredible thing ever to just pull up my books on my phone and show them here are the books I've written, and what do you write, and yeah, I've published 7 books, and they just couldn't believe it. But it just felt awesome and liberating to just be able to tell people that. And of course, it was a proud moment too, to be able to show off all the work you've done. And so yeah, that was cool. Now a lot of my friends and family know pretty much that I'm a writer, that I'm an author, and even some of my more other circles know as well. And it's been cool because I've had somebody else come up to me and say that they'd love to write a book, and they'd love to get some input and find out more, and blah blah blah. And so that's really cool. I think that's the coolest thing ever, to be able to help somebody on their way to becoming an author as well, and helping to spread their message. So yeah. Yeah, and for the most part, they were all really good reactions. A lot of people were even impressed, and I think that's another thing too that is a little bit different, I think, because I'm Latina. A lot of the people I know are Latino, and so it's different than the stigma that people usually think about when you say like, oh, you're a writer, like you don't have a real job. Like I know a lot of people here kind of think that, or there's like that stigma around being a writer or an author, like that's not a real job, you don't make any money, like that kind of thing. And in my culture it's actually completely opposite, I think. And it was the same thing for being a teacher too. When I graduated and became a teacher and got my first job, like I remember in high school when I told people I wanted to be a teacher, like they were saying like, why would you waste your potential like that? Um, like why don't you become something like better, or like something that like pays better? And I just remember like not really getting that. And then like when I was a teacher and I would tell people that I was a middle school teacher, I'd be like, oh, like I feel sorry for you, or you're brave, like. And so like, that same kind of stigma is to being a writer, but in my culture, like it's kind of the opposite for both teachers and writers. Like people are really impressed that to find out that I've written 7 or 8 books, or that I'm a teacher. Like they just think that's impressive. And so it's always kind of cool to get that kind of reaction, because it's kind of scary to say it and then people think it's cool, and so that's like, okay, like it helps let go of that fear a little bit. And so yeah, that kind of sums up my story of why it took me 6 years and almost 8 books to be able to tell people out loud, like, yeah, I'm a writer, I work for myself, I run my own business, I've published almost 8 books now, and I edit books and I work online. Like, just, it's so awesome to be able to say that. And so yeah, like I'm just excited to be able to share that part of my identity with everybody I know, not just online, but in real life. And so yeah, I'd love to know if you've ever been in the same kind of situation, or if you're in that kind of situation now, where it's kind of scary to tell people that you're a writer, or that you're publishing your first book or something like that. And if that is you, it's okay if it takes a little bit of time for you to do that. Like it took me 6 years to finally feel ready to do it. It might not take you as long, or maybe it's something you just never want to tell people, that's fine too. But if you do start to feel like you want people to know like this part of who you are, and to be able to support you and be there for you, it's okay to just start a little bit at a time. Maybe connect a social media account, like maybe connect your Facebook author page to your profile, that kind of thing. Just start with something small, and you'd be really surprised at how much support you get. Or just tell 1 to 2 people in real life too. Like tell your spouse, tell your partner, tell your best friend, tell your mom or a sibling, somebody that you're really close to, and that is going to support you, and they will. And it's awesome when they do. So even if you never want to tell the whole world, just telling like a few close friends, I think is really good. And then if that starts to feel okay and you feel ready to do a little bit more, maybe post it on Facebook. Introduce yourself the next time you meet somebody new. And this is kind of how I started, I guess. Like, again, first I would say, oh, I'm just a stay-at-home mom. And then I would say, oh, I work from home. But then I never really said what I did. And then I would say, oh, like, finally I graduated up to, I write and self-publish my own books, and I edit books and that kind of thing. And so just work yourself up to it first, practice saying it out loud, practice like exactly how you're going to say it, so you don't like stumble or get nervous and then like chicken out. And I say this all because it really does feel great to be able to tell people who you really are, And, being a writer, being an author, being someone who runs a business, like it's such a huge part of who I am, that now that I've done this, it feels like I'm definitely happier now that I've done it, and that people know like all of me, and I've gotten over a lot of that fear of saying that out loud. And so it's a little bit scary. The next thing I'd like to work up to is to take my books to the local library and give them copies of my books for them to stock on the shelves. Like that would be awesome. Or even to be able to speak at the library or some kind of event for other writers who would like to find out how to become self-published or write their own books. Like I would love to do that. And so now I would like to work my way up to those 2 things. So yeah, I'm not sure if the fear will ever completely go away, because I mean, just writing books is a little bit vulnerable, and I think I'll always feel a little bit vulnerable doing that, and hitting publish on those books. Although by the time I hit publish, I'm just ready, like I don't even think about it, but just knowing that people I know are reading my stories, like that will probably always be a little bit scary to me. And so yeah, so I'd love to hear your story in the comments. What do people say when they find out you're a writer, or when you introduce yourself as a writer or author? Do your family and friends support you? Do they even know you're a writer? Where are you at in that process? And so I'd love to hear from you. Definitely chime in below. And yeah, that's all I have for you today. Thanks again for joining me. I really appreciate it, and I'd love it if you shared this with someone. And if you're on Instagram, I'm having a great time over there lately, so I'd love to see you over there. I'm at This Is a Writer Mom, and I'll post a link in the comments when I'm done here. But yeah, that's my profile, at This Is Writer Mom, and I'd love to see you over there, because I've just been having like a ton of fun over there, especially with stories. Yeah, just sharing what I'm up to, what my kids are up to, how they're driving me crazy. If you want to check that out, I hope you'll join me over there. And so yeah, thank you again for being here. I'll see you next week. Have a great rest of your day. Bye.